So welcome back to my channel. This is Dom and another one of my updates on what I've been up to in our wonderful world of historical gaming. So yeah, been busy again with the painting. Actually, lots and lots produced. Even though the COVID's gone and we still seem to be quite busy, for some reason I seem to have carried on being very productive on the painting front. So a lot done. Plus I've got rather carried away with my new ACW project. So I hear people who know me in the comments going, yeah, there's a surprise. But yeah, so let's have a look at some of the painting projects before I come back and talk about some purchases and some of the games. So I've been continuing with my American Civil War project. I wasn't expecting to crack on with it. I just thought I'd do one unit, see how much, how I enjoyed doing them or not. And the answer was I really enjoyed doing them because they're dead simple to do, which is a huge bonus in terms of getting through figures quickly. So this is another Union battalion. Although if that guy who commented on my last video is around, he'll probably say it's not, it's fantasy. The colour's all wrong. I never expected to get button counters on American Civil War. Get them on Napoleonics a lot. I see them on Second World War. I suppose it's inevitable there'll be on other periods too. So yeah, the blue jackets, well, let me get it straight. So I know they're a bit lighter than you see sometimes, but then there's a lot of variation in colours of uniforms. I've seen a Cacador uniform from the Napoleonic period in a museum in Lisbon that was almost white when it was supposed to be brown. So it happens. So these are a little bit lighter than you would normally see in a lot of illustrations. That said, I've seen pictures and illustrations where they've been pretty light indeed. Also to say, this is under a very bright light, so that makes them look even lighter still. So they are what they are. So there you go, another battalion done. Mainly Perry plastics, a couple of, I think the dead bodies are First Corps, or the wounded men at First Corps. I just put a few in just to make it a little bit more dynamic. The only thing is I didn't have an extra standard bearer. So I may shuffle them around and swap out one base for another one with the future one and put an extra extra flag bearer in there because I think flags are cool and I like seeing them, but B, I did buy a few extra Perry standard bearer sets or command sets just to make sure that I had enough to use. So there you go. I'm quite happy with how they've come out. So next up, a couple of artillery pieces to go along with the Union regiments I've done so far. So these are, again, Perry plastics. I believe these were Parrot guns, 10-pound Parrot guns, I think that's what you called them. I really enjoyed doing these. These are great fun to do, and I spent a bit of time doing the sort of edging on them. Not a huge amount because I actually used one of those paint pens to do that, to the red edging, and I think it came out really nicely, so quite pleased with it. I stand to be corrected as always. I'm no expert on the American Civil War, as was established last time, but if anybody wants to correct me on the colours of the limbers and the guns themselves, I believe I read that they were green, but that's what I've done here clearly, but hopefully I'm correct. But if anybody knows for certain, please let me know. I am willing to know. I'm not saying I know everything about this period because I do not, but anyway, that's a battery done. I do like the fact you get the limbers in the set as well. Bit fiddly to put together, and I'd really like them to be on one base, but I didn't have one, so I just put them on the bases that came in the box with them. So yeah, nice. Yeah, they're quite pleased with how these came out. And then I've also been cracking on with some more epic Hannibal sets. So this is a couple of units of Spanish Scutari to go with the Carthaginian forces. I'm planning to do a separate video on how I painted them up. I don't usually do a test sprue, but I did with these. In fact, I did test units, didn't I? I made a start and they just sort of cracked along, so I just carried on doing it. But I have got another unit that I'll probably do a separate video on how I did it and how they might play in the game. One thing, I mean, Warlords do a brilliant job with their painting and their showing off of how, you know, they get professional painters in to paint the figures and blah 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 blah. I'd take a little bit of a difference with the Spanish Scutari. So from what I've read, and it actually is a period I've read a reasonable amount about, the Scutari. So on the Warlord site and on the box art, they've got their Spanish Scutari with black cloaks. Now, as I understand it, that was only the Celtiberians, who were a particularly vicious, aggressive northern Spanish tribe, more like Gauls than Spanish. I mean, they had similarities between Gauls and Spanish, and in fact, you can field Celtiberians in the Carthaginian list. They are basically fierce fighters. So, and they had black cloaks, from what I understand. Now, regular Spanish Scutari, there's not really much detail on what their cloaks were. And bear in mind, you know, these guys got, every single one of them's got a cloak on. So I went with the approach that they would be multicoloured, because we know from history a lot of the tribes and a lot of sort of uncivilized, is that the right way to say it, tribes tended to use bright colours and what have you. Plus I think it looks cool, and it means I can save the black cloaks for when I do actually do some Celtiberians. So yeah, there you go. That's 2 units of them done, ready to see the table. I really ought to do some Romans, I guess. So from Epic Range Ancients back to 28 mil. So these are some more Gallic light stroke medium cavalry. Mentioned in the past when I was looking at my Gallic forces that probably the area I needed more was in the cavalry department. And I know, talking with Martin for the game that we're putting on at CrackCon, we're probably going to need a few cavalry. So just in case none of the players have any, I've been making sure that I've built up a few more units of them. So this, I can't remember where these figures came from. They're either A&A or their first core, I think. But I can't remember, so yeah, sorry about that. They're metal. They're nice enough figures. I quite like the, you know, they're not overly fussy in terms of detail. The only one thing that frustrates the hell out of me with these sort of figures, and maybe it's my incompetence, well, it probably is my incompetence, is getting the spears to sit within the hands. I use a little micro drill and just a sharp knife with it, trying to take my fingertips off to try and get into them, but they never seem to stick properly, and they'd fall off incessantly. So yeah, and then of course glue then builds up and blah de blah de blah. So yeah, that was a bit awkward. Plus I have to say, getting the riders to sit perfectly on the horses was a bit tricky as well, because the shields they've got are really big, and so you're trying to get them on the right on the saddle cloths perfectly, and then fit the shields in and the spears as well. It was really quite fiddly. So it's probably my incompetence anyway. Shield transfers mainly from Little Big Man. There was another set that I bought off the internet, which I've sort of cut down to size and then sort of painted the edgings and what have you as much as I can. You know, they're never going to win any awards, but it's another unit of cavalry for the table, and that's the point. So there you go. So of course, having started on the Union forces, I felt I'd better even it out and do some Johnny Rebs. So my plan is to sort of do it, you know, stage by stage. So a couple of Union and a battery or cavalry or something, and then a couple of Confederates, and similarly cannon or cavalry, whatever I decide. That way I think I can work my way through them, and they're actually quite fun to do, so I really enjoyed painting all these up. So mostly I think these figures are mostly Perry plastics. Now I say I think because some long time ago, and he probably thought I was never going to do anything with them, Sean, Metal Mercenary, gave me a whole load of Confederate figures already primed, mostly assembled, although a few needed a bit of reassembling because they've been battered a bit, but and with a few of the casualty figures in there, so which were metal. So I assume that's where they were from. They look like they're the same Perry sets that I've got myself. So thank you to Sean. Sorry it took me so long to get around to doing them. So I painted them up. I've deliberately so I bought the Bracey's books on the Confederate and the Union uniforms, or such you can speak of, and reading through, I haven't read page for page, but just looking through what I've read so far out of the Rebel book, there's a definite as the war went on, clearly the uniformity went away entirely, and many regiments fought with effectively civilian clothes on, or anything they could capture. So I've gone for that look. So again, any ACW button counters, stick that one in your pipe and smoke it. Bedrolls, again, maybe I've gone a bit carried away with them because there's a lot of talk of them being actually quite bright in cases. It was basically home blankets that they wrapped around them because that's what they used. So I've sort of made them quite bright. Now again, they'll look brighter than they really are on the table because this is quite a strong light. Standard is from the Perry box sets. I just cut one out from that. It's a cardboardy one, or paper one, which isn't ideal. I may swap it out. I've just had GMB send me out of their goodness the heart. I paid for them, but I got an order of some ACW flags from them, which I may now replace that flag and use from now on in. But there you go, first unit done. It hasn't got a designation because the flag's fairly general, but I'm quite happy how they came out. So again, lots of different colours, greys, blues, browns, butternut, whatever they call it, sort of that sort of colour, based up using the Vallejo mud like I did with the Union troops, and then some tufts sort of poked in them. Someone did ask on one of the streams how I do the basing, or I think he said what I used, and it literally is just that. It's a Vallejo mud, and then I have some very cheap tufts that I buy regularly now from Amazon. You get a tub of a couple of hundred of them for about 20 quid, which are great, but they're very uniform. So I stick those in, and then I use some sort of more special tufts like Tajima. They're the sort of flowery ones on these bases, which they're a bit more expensive, so I tend to just use them sort of to just bring a little bit of extra feature to the bases, and I think they work out reasonably well. So there you go, that is first Johnny Reb done. And then finally for now, another Rebel unit. So this is again hodgepodge of figures from Sean, Metal Mercenaries, gave me a while back. As I mentioned, I think they're predominantly Perrys, but there's a couple of others in there. The casualties are, I think, First Corps, and just again tremendously fun to paint up. Really enjoyed doing them. Again, sound like a broken record. I've done them in a hodgepodge uniform of a hodgepodge set of uniforms. Well, you wouldn't really call them uniforms, to sort of show them as the later war period where uniforms were pretty non-existent for the rebels. They had other priorities for their manufacturing, which so that did limit to what they could wear, and often wore civilian clothes. So again, great fun to do. I really enjoyed doing these Union and Confederate troops. I'm almost having to stop myself from just cracking on, working my way through the huge, and I hadn't realised quite how many boxes I've got, but I've got a lot of boxes of this stuff. So I'm just going to try and ration myself just by doing bits and bobs here and there, and yeah, really enjoyed it. So there you go. So yeah, it's been a busy time for painting. Don't know why. I really must get on and do some Roman epic figures. Then I can actually have a go at having a game at some point. Even a small scale battle would be good to have a go. Just I don't know. There's something about the Romans. Just what have they ever done for us? I mean, I love the history of them. I love the finding out about you know, how creative they were, how amazing there was empire builders and city builders and road builders and all the other good stuff they did. Love visiting their sites, but for some reason their armies just never excite me at all. Don't know why. Anyway, maybe it's just the uniformity and regiment. I like the irregular type formations, and so the barbarians that generally went up against I like, but then I also like whatever. Never mind. Anyway, what I've been up to purchasing wise, let's start there. Yeah, I did a thing. Hold it the right way. Hold it the right way round, Dom. So yeah, this is Battle in a Box, American Civil War box from Perry Miniatures. I bought it via, I think it was Fireforge Games. Because you know what, it's a really good way of buying into the period if you're looking to do 28 mils, because this box set has 145 infantry, 12 cavalry, 18 artillery, 4 guns and 2 generals, and they're pretty much interchangeable because they're all the Perry plastics. You can use them for either side, which is brilliant. Plus you get a farmhouse, 4 foot of fencing, all the basing you need, and you also get a set of their special rules, firepower rules, and a uniform guide and info sheet all within this box. So it's a pretty good deal, I think. I can't remember exactly how much it came out as, but it's only like equivalent to buying maybe 3 boxes of Perry plastics normally. So I think with all the extras you get in there, all those extra figures you get in there, plus all the other bits and bobs, it becomes well worth it. So yeah, so I did that. So I bought it from Fireforge because, like I say regularly on these things, if you buy directly from Blessed Perrys or so Warlords, they can be, well, you pay the full price, and actually sometimes if you shop around you can find third-party retailers doing them at 10, 15, sometimes 20% off whatever the marked up price is. So that's what I did with these. I also picked up a box of Union infantry, just a separate one of those. I thought I might need it, and a box of guns I think I bought as well, because again, could be useful. Separately, somebody was selling on Facebook a box of Confederate infantry in a very battered box. This cost me £10 plus a couple of quid postage, which is pretty damn good. All the figures were in it, which is brilliant. And then somebody else was selling on eBay another box of similar figures, slightly more expensive. I think it worked out at about 14 quid. Still considerably cheaper than the 20 something quid you have to pay online. So if you're interested in figures and what have you, shop around, look at third-party retailers, look at Facebook Marketplace, but just be very careful on there. Some very shady people. Always use goods and services, even if they beg you not to, even if you have to pay £1 or 2 more for the item. Do it that way, because at least you've got some protection. And also obviously eBay, very good place to get these things, particularly as things go dipping in and out of favour. You can pick up some stuff which is good. So that was that. I also got some new spray varnish came in, which I won't show you because it's just spray varnish, but it is, I do use the Winsor & Newton professional matte paint varnish, which isn't, It's going to sound really weird. It's not the best varnish, but it brings the figures together really nicely at the end and actually gives them some protection, not much, particularly for metals, but it does. It's also extreme matte, so it does take any shine out of the figure, which I really like. So anyway, I use that. It's quite expensive, but I buy it when I need it. So I got a couple of cans of those arrive. Also, a whole load of American Civil War flags from GMB arrived the other day. And I don't know what I was expecting, probably because I've done more Napoleonics than I have ACW, and I don't really know a huge amount about ACW. I was expecting the flags to be all different. Really, there's very little difference between any of them. You know, it's one of them said, I don't know, the 43rd, I don't know, whatever regiment it was, and it just looked exactly the same flag as you get for every other one. So yeah, lesson learned, don't bother with that, Dom. Anyway, I mean, I've been searching around trying to find the right regiments. I wanted to be able to play, as I said before, once before, I'm planning to do a brigade or two from Gettysburg as my foundation of what I'm building. So I wanted the right regiments, right, the flags to go with them. Yeah, not easy to get, and also, as I say, when they turned up, they weren't that different anyway. So that was that. Gaming wise, actually did have a game this week. Gamer Graham came over. Graham's Wargaming Vault. Check it out if you're into finding another channel to follow. Does some great stuff, particularly does a lot of Saga and Lion Rampant. But he's been talking about getting into a bit of black powder. He's got a whole load of sharp practice figures that he's had commission painted, beautiful figures, and he was discussing with me and also with Alec about how to play it use those figures for black powder. So we played a game on a 6 by 4 foot table. We've reduced all the ranges down to 2/3 the amount they should normally be, and our battalion sizes were 16 figures for the infantry, 8 for the cavalry and 1 for the guns. And we had a really good game. We played for about just over 2 hours. I had a good result. It was we did about 450 points, which was about what he could do with his English forces. And I took the blessed French, and yeah, I won't give it away. But it was a bad day at the office of the French. But the game will go up on the channel. I think it's going to be up on Friday, so if you're interested, hit the subscribe button and the notify button, and you'll see when it goes live. What else I've been up to? This week, the club's back open again, or at least I'm going to be up the club again. I think Jonathan, Tony, Paul and myself are going to have another black powder Napoleonic games. This time we're going to go slightly bigger. I think we're going to for 1,000 points using the Albion Triumphant black powder book for the Peninsula. I'm playing British. Jonathan's doing a French army. Not sure what we'll play, whether it's a scenario or we'll just play kill 'em game. I don't know, we'll see, but it should be a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the game with Jonathan, with Graham, and as I've mentioned before, I think Black Powder and Hell Season and those sort of games are really good for a club night, because you get enough time to play the game and hopefully get at least to the point where you know there's a result, even if the result hasn't actually happened. Whereas much as I love some of the other systems, they can be very long, and you don't necessarily get a result at the end of it. So that's that. I'm also thinking about having a little solo game this week. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm sort of hankering after sharp practice, after Graham talked about it so much the other day when he was round. And I do like sharp practice. I think it's one of my favourite systems. The only thing is it's not terribly easy to video. But it works quite well as a solo game because it's a card-driven thing, and obviously you turn over the card and it's that player's on that commander's or big man's move. So there's no sort of fiddling around with it. But the trouble with it is very long. To film it is very long, not very easy to cut it down. So I don't know. I don't know whether I'll do that. I mean, that's not not the be all and end all with me playing games is whether I can video on them or not. I mean, there's plenty of games I play, just don't bother videoing, or I have videoed and I just think, nah, it didn't work very well. I never show, so that's not the primary goal, but I wouldn't mind getting another video game in. So the other option is to, which I'm also thinking about doing, is digging into my old ancient collection and having a see what state they're in. I think most of them probably need rebasing, but if there's enough in there, I might have a Hail Caesar solo game, or I might just get the Pike and Shot epic figures out, because they always give a good game. So we'll see. Anyway, I'll post up stuff on the on my channel, let you know what's coming, and if you're subscribed and you've got the notification button pinged, you'll know what's coming up and you can follow it. So I think that's about it for now. So thanks very much indeed for watching, as always. Thanks for all the kind words and support. Thanks to all the patrons and channel members. Should be up here somewhere any minute now. Really appreciate you guys putting your hands in your pockets. That's lovely. And I will see you all again soon. May you have some great games. Stay safe out there, and yeah, see you again soon. This is Dom, signing out.